Hello, I'm Aikari. Welcome to Rappler's Roundtable on Disaster Resiliency. Joining us today are innovators to talk about how we can make Philippine communities resilient and prepared for disasters. We have here from the Local Government Academy, Thelma Vicina, Officer in Charge, Eliza Curioso, a 20-year-old Domagat youth leader from Aurora, Hydran Milan, a licensed interior designer from Tacloban City, and Enan Melencio, Consortium Manager of Tuklas Innovation Labs. Good afternoon, everyone.
Good afternoon.
Hello. So, an average of 20 typhoons visit the Philippines. Just recently, we were bombarded by heavy downpour causing floods brought by the monsoon rains. How do local governments fare? How prepared are they?
Okay. Based on our reports coming from the field, and of course, even literature shows that the level of preparedness of our local government units nowadays after the Yolandas actually increased. So, ibig sabihin, in terms of the positioning of our local government units, how to respond, the preparedness ay mas mataas na as compared before. Maybe siguro later on when we discuss some of the stories of my colleagues here, no, in this panel, we will see that a lot of action has actually been done at the local level. That's why the level of preparedness has actually increased.
So, kamusta naman po, ma'am? Ano po siguro yung mga best practices na nakikita po natin ngayon?
Actually, the Yolanda area, makikita natin marami ang best practices. Coordination with the other sectors actually increase. And even the capacity of the local government units themselves. How they prepare themselves, the structures, the policies, the plans has actually improved a lot after the Yolanda. And then maybe tanong mo kung anong best practice natin. The Yolanda area, tingnan natin. I mean, in the Eastern Seaboard, there are a lot of good practices now going on how they can actually, how they're actually doing preparedness and response and the other systems for disaster preparedness.
Yeah, we will talk about Yolanda later on. So, ma'am, pwedeng ikwento nyo lang po sa amin, ano po yung mga initiative ng Local Government Academy in terms of yung mga ganito pong situation?
Okay. Ang Local Government Academy kasi is the training arm. We are the mandated training arm of the DILG. Ang kliyente po namin ay all cities, municipalities, provinces, and all barangays. So marami po, malawak po ang aming ginagalawan. So kami po, dahil kami po ang training arm ng department, we do design, develop training programs for the LGUs. Actually, it's not just training programs, now expanded to include capacity development programs for LGUs. So nandyan na yung training, nandyan na yung mga researches, nandyan na rin yung mga we're doing also profiling of LGUs. And then we also do partnering with other institutions to deliver the programs to our local government units. Now, ang tanong kung anong ginagawa namin in terms of disaster risk reduction and management. Kami po ang nag-initiate ng preparation of the LISTO, the LISTO manual for LGUs, wherein we have some protocols there na sinusundan ng ating local government units on how they can actually prepare for any eventuality, how they will be managing themselves during a disaster and even after. We also have other programs like the formulation of the local climate change action plan. Kasama din po kami sa mandato na we will assist the local government units in the preparation of their local climate change action plan. Nandiyan na rin ang aming program on the training on GIS for disaster preparedness. Ang amin dito, why we are actually capacitating them is that we want the LGUs to be empowered. Like for example, they have the maps, but of course the maps are there, but our programs will enable them to validate the reality is the map responding to the needs of the LGUs. Yun ang aming GIS. And then we also have programs like the local economic development for sustainable growth, for a climate change. So we're actually teaching or orienting or developing the competencies of local government units in the development of local economic initiatives that could actually sustain the test of time in terms of disaster. These local economic development initiatives can actually help local government units in terms of developing the local economy.
So parang business continuity rin po ito, no, ma'am?
Business continuity.
So actually gusto ko po yung sinabi nyo kanina about sa GIS.
Yeah.
Kasi dumako naman tayo dito kay Eliza para ikwento niya yung kanilang experience in Aurora. Kasi related po dun sa sinabi niyo po about mapping, meron din silang initiative na ginawa, di ba? So can you share with us, ano yung initiative na ginawa nyo bilang ikaw, isa kang dumagat youth leader, and meron kayong 3D mapping na ginawa sa Aurora, di ba? So, yeah. Ano yung ginawa ninyo nung nag-map kayo sa 3D mapping, ganyan?
Ang unang ginawa po namin is bago po mabuo yung trading map, kinausap po nila yung leader namin, yung chieftain po namin, chieftain ng Dumagat. Kasi sila po yung una nag-usap para magkaroon po ng communication. Ang ginawa po namin doon, yung mapa po, hindi lang po siya basta mapa na yung flat. Kumbaga yung mapa po is, meron po siyang ilaw sa taas na tapos meron po salamin doon na pag tinutok doon, makikita po doon yung mga areas po na pwede pong tamaan ng sakuna. At bago po mabuo yung mapa ay kinausap po nila yung mga elder namin kasi sila po yung mas nakakaalam kung ano po yung kung hanggang saan po yung sakop ng komunidad namin at kung ano po yung mga posibilidad na lugar na pwede namin puntahan.
So, paano, di ba, paano nagmapa kayo? Paano kayo, ikaw, di ba ikaw yung youth leader, paano mo sila nakausap para yung mga ibang youth ay magmapa din?
Ano po, kinausap po sila ng, kami lang po yung mga kabataan na nag-usap-usap noon, na sabi ko po sa kanila na maging bahagi tayo ng gawain na to para dagdag kaalaman bilang isang kabataan na huwag tayo makontento na sapat na ba yung kaalaman natin na kapag may sakuna ay agad nating kukunin yung mahalagang bagay sa atin na tama na yun. Dito sa activity na to ay madadagdagan pa yung kaalaman natin na hindi lang pala tayo doon basta sa bahay pag may sakuna, na pwede pala tayong umahon sa bundok para mas ligtas tayo, na mas doon na ligtas yung sarili ng bawat isa.
So, anong reaksyon nila nung nalaman nila yung mga ganitong, kadagdagang kaalaman?
Yung iba po, syempre, hindi po sila ganun agad naniwala. Kasi po, bago, tapos hindi po nila masyadong kilala yung mga tao na nagpunta doon. Ang kaganda lang po doon, nagkaroon po sila ng interest na mas matutunan nila na yung mapa pong ginawa namin ay ano po, na napakahalaga pala ng para sa kanila bilang isang kabataan. Kasi nung hinikayat ko po yung mga kabataan na maging bahagi po sila ng paggawa ng mapa. Kaso di nga po sila naka-attend kasi nga po mas pinagtuunan po nila pansin yung umahon sa bundok maghanap ng pagkain. Pero may mga kabataan naman din po nakasilip, kaya ko. Nagsisisi po yung iba, hindi lang po sila nagsisisi. Kumbaga, sana po gusto pa nilang maulit yung pagkakataon na magkaroon po ng trading map at maging bahagi din po sila ng paggagawa ng.
So after nun, siguro ano yung parang naging tulong sa komunidad ninyo?
Malaki po yun yung sa paggawa po ng trading map kasi napakalaking tulong po nun sa amin bilang isang dumagat na ambag doon sa aming barangay dahil maging kami ay makikita po dun sa mapa na yung kabuuan ng buong barangay namin at makikita po dun yung mga posibilidad na pwedeng tamaan ng bagyo at pwedeng hindi na kami dun mag-stay o manirahan pa, kundi pwede kami lumipat sa matataas na lugar para doon na lang tumira.
So, di ba 3D siya?
Opo,
Di ba
3D.
yung mga parang palaging, yung mga mapa kasi palagi flat lang. So, ano yung, as in parang nakikita talaga nung community na, ito mataas to, tapos
Opo.
pwede kami pumunta dito, parang ganun siya. No?
Opo.
Ayan. So, nakikita
Ayun po.
natin dito na ito yung mapa ngayon.
Opo.
Tapos, yung youth, tumutulong din kayo na maggawa ng map o...
Yung ano po, nung una po kasi, ano po lang siya, binakat po namin siya dun sa binakat lang po siya. Tapos guhit-guhit po namin. Yun po yung unang ginawa namin. Tapos ako po, bilang isang kabataan dumagat, ako na po yung parang lagi nandun na tumutulong. At ang nakita ko po doon, ang naitulong ko po doon ay yung magdikit po ng mga kusot po doon sa may mapa na hinulma. Na yung mga plywood po na kinat. Doon po.
So, sige yun ha. Salamat. Ngayon, lipat naman tayo dito sa... Kasi ito, important din itong mapping kasi talagang nakikita talaga ng community kung ano yung itsura ng pwede nilang puntahan. So, nagkakaroon ng parang certain realization, kumbaga, ano. Ngayon, lipat naman tayo dito sa Yolanda experience na napag-usapan nga kanina ni Ma'am na isa sa mga best practices. But, si Hydron, ang inyo ay Bakwit Kit.
Bakwit Kit, yes.
Can you tell us more about that?
Well, after Yolanda, I really wanted to take part in disaster response, but I don't know where to start. I'm an interior designer by profession, and I've been asking myself, what is my role as an interior designer in disaster response? So there was an opportunity last year by Philbex Cebu. It's a Philippine Building and Construction Exposition in Cebu City. We were invited for a roundtable discussion amongst designers from Philippine Institute of Interior Designers in by different chapters. So we were discussing, and one question that surfaced, we were challenged to come up with an exhibit. As interior designers, we are used to coming up with glamour spaces, luxury spaces. But then we challenge ourselves, what is our role in disaster response? So our design challenge was to come up with interior spaces for evacuation centers. Since designated evacuation centers here in the Philippines are cramped spaces with no demarcation lines, with no boundaries. So it is within our scope as an interior designer to come to design spaces within the context of interiors. So we challenged ourselves to come up with spaces. So Cebu came up with Duyan as a bed in evacuation centers. Panay came up with the learning hub, and Bacolod came up with a bunker kit, and Mindanao chapter came up with a psychosocial support corner. And from our end, from Eastern Visayas, we came up with a Bakwit Kit. It's a flat pack evacuation kit that contains all the living essentials. These Bakwit Kits are designated, are prepositioned in evacuation centers already. So these are made of PVC pipes, and we have like soft partitions, and we have like mosquito nets to protect from mosquitoes. And we also have like mattresses and foldable furniture pieces within the Bakwit Kit. And this kit could be fit in two boxes that measures 1.2 by 1.2 meters. And the whole Bakwit Kit is 2.4 by 2.4. That's roughly 5.74 square meters.
Okay. So, how do you plan to work with local governments? Kasi I think this is a really good project, no? Kasi right now, yung kung saan man nagsistay yung mga evacuees natin, usually sa mga school, tapos yun nga, sinabi mo kanina na medyo may problem in terms of privacy, dignity, ganyan. So how do you plan to marry that when you work with the local government?
Currently, we are partnering with the community, and we're doing our prototype testing. And after we've polished our prototype, we are planning to market this kit, Bakwit Kits, to the LGUs eventually, and we're planning to sell the Bakwit Kits to the LGUs.
Okay. Siguro, what inspired you to create the Bakwit Kit?
Well, I'm a Yolanda survivor, so after Yolanda, one question that really struck me is, what is my contribution to the society? So I really wanted to bring design closer to the community. As interior designer, we have been labeled as elitist because we are most of our clients are those who can afford our services. But I wanted the notion to change that notion that design is for everyone, design is for all. It's not only for the the few people who could afford it. So this inspired me to work with the communities and bring design closer to the communities by providing them spaces, good spaces, and perhaps I'm also doing product development with the communities.
And I really think it's very interesting, no? Kasi you're an interior designer, and then people would always say na parang, kunwari, like I'm an interior designer, pero parang hindi naman ako disaster planner, no? So
Yeah.
parang people would think, ano ba yung contribution ko? But there, you made something out of it, right?
Yes, because I believe no matter what our specialization is, we can always contribute to disaster response. Like for doctors, lawyers, everyone should be involved in disaster response.
Okay, I like what you said. So since yun nga yung sinabi mo
Yeah.
na everyone should be involved, punta naman tayo kay Enan and to tell us more about Tuklas Innovation Labs. And hindi lang naman kayo working with a particular sector, right? You're working with a lot of from different walks of life. So can you tell us more about that?
Okay, so Tuklas is short for Tungong sa Kahandaan ng Pilipinas. No? Isa itong proyekto na sumusuporta sa community-based innovations in disaster preparedness. Out of 266 proposals na natanggap namin last year, kasulukuyan meron kaming 14 na sinusuportahan ngayon. Kasama na yung kay Eliza at yung kay Hydra. Yung Tuklas, ito ay pinapangasawaan ng 4 na non-government organizations. So Plan International, Action Against Hunger, Care International at Citizens Disaster Response Center. Meron kaming 2 motivations kung bakit para sa amin importante itong proyektong ito. Una, yung risk profile ng Pilipinas. Nabanggit mo kanina, binibisita tayo ng average of 20 typhoons per year. No, so sa buong mundo, ang Pilipinas ay rank 3 sa World Risk Index. Rank 30 naman tayo sa Climate Change Vulnerability Index. No, sinasabi lang nito na mataas yung vulnerability natin pagdating sa natural hazards at saka sa extreme climate events. Hindi pa doon kasama yung human-induced hazards na marami rin sa Pilipinas sa armed conflict all over the country. So yung second motivation namin ay gusto namin matulungan yung bansa na makatuklas ng mga makabagong paraan sa disaster preparedness. So hindi lang makabago, naniniwala rin kami na yung mga taong direktang naapektuhan ng mga sakuna ay may kalakasan at kakayahan na tumulong. No? Kaya naniniwala kami ng innovations ay dapat mula sa tao at para sa tao.
Okay. So, I like what you said about mula sa tao, para sa tao. No? So, sa tingin niyo, ma'am, kayo, ano po yung masasabi on the part of local government with these kinds of innovations and how you can marry the two, you know?
Yeah, okay. Kasi ang local government units kasi natin are situated differently. Magkakaiba ang kanilang lakas at magkakaiba ang kanilang mga resources at magkakaiba ang kanilang pangangailangan. So kumbaga, walang isang programa na pwedeng tumugon sa lahat ng pangangailangan ng ating local government units. That's why that's the function of innovations. Innovations kasi, naniniwala kami sa Local Government Academy, will actually spell the difference. Ang innovations kasi is, kung titingnan natin innovations is kakaiba na pamamaraan sa nakakarami. So tulad ng 3D maps, isang napakasayang opportunity kasi yung mga youth, okay, na-empower para mag-isip para sa community. Ngayon, lalo na ngayon, mga millennials natin, talagang napakabilis ng mga pag-iisip, no? I just hope kasi, no, there is a documentation for that so that we can share it with the other local government units who have also a strong force from among the youth, no? Kasi meron kaming Wimbury na yung mga youth din ang aming ino-organize to help in disaster management. So, kami kung ano ang magagawa namin is palaguin or we expand the reach of the program. Sana hindi lang doon sa inyong locality, but we can share the technology or the experience with other local government units. And we have a mechanism for that. In all the ILG regional offices, we have the local governance resource centers, wherein isang facility doon ay yung aming multimedia is the repository of all best practices of all local government units and only LGs from the other sector. So, pwede po natin doon ilagay and it can be accessed by local government units. I just hope yung itong mga innovations are actually documented. But of course, the Local Government Academy can actually assist in documenting such. Kasi ang aming mission is really maipaabot sa mga LGUs yung mga kakaibang mga pamamaraan kung paano nila matutugunan ang mga problema. So yung isa is, through a good documentation, we can actually expand the reach of your programs. And then also maybe, I hope, your experts are also available so that we can tap them to share. Kasi iba rin kasi yung naririnig nila mismo sa mga expert. And we have also an avenue for that. Meron din kaming mekanismo din yan. Kasi meron na rin kaming sinasabing webinar series na wherein ang ating mga local officials with just in the confines of their homes, they can listen to the presentation, to the talks of experts or colleagues in the local governance arena. They can listen. So, meron na rin kaming facility na ganon. And then another thing also is, siguro, pwede ko na rin sabihin, bukas meron kaming Resilience Marketplace for Innovation Forum, kung saan po magbabahagi ang ating mga experts, mga practitioners, ng mga makabuluhan talaga ng mga experience at mga proyekto, mga programa. Bukas ibibigay nila, isi-share sa napakalaking grupo. We're expecting 1,000 to join us tomorrow from all sectors. Isang initiative ito ng LGA to bring together all the sectors and listen to the stories to really make a difference in the lives of everybody. Especially so that we're moving towards resiliency, from preparedness to resiliency. So bukas mangyayari po yun. Maraming tao ang makikinig at magbabahagi ng kanilang mga. Ito hindi mga konsepto lamang. Ito ay proven na made works or made progress sa ating mga local government units. So, siguro pwede na ako mag-invite dito sa aking mga kasamaan sa table and all the other people there listening to join us tomorrow sa SMX, the Resilience Marketplace for Innovation Forum. So, garantisado po from us that you will really get something out of the forum.
Okay, thank you, ma'am. Siguro, bago ako magtanong ng mga additional insights, no, gusto ko lang sanang marinig, ano yung parang learnings ninyo bilang innovators sa, pag-craft nitong project? Mas nagkaroon ba kayo ng mas mataas na kamalayan kung ano yung paghahanda sa sakuna or ano yung mga siguro challenges na nadaanan nyo? So, let's start with you, Eliza. So, ano yung naging nahirapan ka ba? O siguro mas tumaas ba yung kamalayan mo bilang isang youth leader na ganito pala dapat mag-handle ng sakuna?
Mahirap po. Mahirap po para sa akin bilang isang kabataan dahil kasi sa amin po, sa Dingalan po ay ilan-ilan lang po yung, kapag may sakuna po, ilan lang po yung mga kumikilos, ganun po. Nahirapan po kami ng mga hikayat ng ibang tao, katulad ng mga ibang kabataan na tulungan kami at magtulungan kami magtulungan po kami din sa pagkakaisa na maisalba namin yung kapakanan ng bawat isa.
So, parang mas nagkaroon kayo ng pagkakaisa, no? Na ganito pala yung dapat gawin.
Dapat na po. Tsaka magtulungan po. Tapos, kailangan po yung mindset natin ay hindi negative, kundi positive lagi.
Okay.
Tapos, naalala ko nga po dun sa kanta doon sa may pinaalala sa amin ng mayor po namin. Sobrang bait po ng mayor namin. Kaya, ang naalala ko po dun sa mga sinabi niya, hindi ka nabubuhay para sa sarili mo. Nabubuhay ka para sa lahat. Kaya may pananagutan ka sa bawat isa. Yun po yung tumatak sa isipan ko. Kaya, yun po yung pinangahawakan ko rin po yun dahil magandang aral po yun para sa akin bilang isang kabataan kasi ganun pala, nakapagbigay po siya ng napakalaking kaalaman dahil sa pamamagitan po ng paggawa ng mapa ay nadagdagan pa yung mga kaalaman ng bawat isa sa amin doon sa Dingalan.
Siguro ano na lang yung balak mong gawin sa hinaharap, no? Na ito na nga, alam mo na kung ano yung dapat mong gawin. Siguro, para sa mga katulad mong kabataan, tsaka, yung mga katulad mong kabataan, tsaka mga, sabihin na nating mga IP, ano siguro yung pwede mong ibahagi sa kanila?
Ang pwede ko pong ibahagi sa kanila ay yung education po dun sa Ligtas Pad na siguro po na magkaroon po kami ng pag-uusap, forum. Kasi hindi naman po pare-pares ang kaisipan ng tao dahil siguro may gusto po silang sabihin pero hindi nila masabi sa ibang tao. Kaya mas maganda po doon para ma-maintain lang po yung ng Ligtas Pad. Magkaroon po kami ng usap-usapan. Ang mga elder po, pati yung leader namin, tapos yung mga youth.
Okay. Salamat.
Mayroon lang akong doon sa sinabi ni Eliza, napakabait daw ni Mayor. Sabi mo kanina, napakabait ni Mayor. Siguro para sa amin, kasi kami Local Government Academy, dinadala namin palagi ang perspektibo ng local government unit. So, nasabi mo rin na meron din kayong kakulangan sa inyong mga ginagawa. No? Ang isa-suggest namin kung mamarapatin mo, no? Sa inyong mga ginagawa, huwag kayong mag-atubili na i-approach ninyo ang local government units. Kasi one is may mandato sila para talagang magbigay ng serbisyo sa ating mga tao. And then pangalawa, baka yung kakulangan ninyo ay pwedeng punuan ng local government units in terms of resources, in terms of sistema. Pwede nilang matugunan yun. At hindi lang siguro local government units, Eliza, no? Pwede din ninyong actually, kasi ngayon kami sa Local Government Academy, ina-advocate namin yung inclusivity. Ibig sabihin, lahat ng sector talaga ay dapat magtulong-tulong para sa disaster risk management. Hindi po kaya ng isang sektor lang. So, huwag kayong atubili na puntahan ninyo ang mga non-governmental organization, at may maitutulong sila, lalo na't nakita na napaka-makabuluhan ang inyong ginagawa. So, anuhan ninyo, i-approach ninyo. Kahit kami, pwede kami tumulong sa inyo sa pagpapalagana, paghihingi ng mga tulong kung saang mga sektor. Pwede kami magbigay ng tulong sa inyo.
Okay, great. Thank you so much, ma'am. What about you, Hydran?
I think the community should be involved in the process. With our Backwit Kit project, we are using participatory design approach and human-centered design approach where we involve the community. We involve the PWD, senior citizen, children, women, and the vulnerable sectors in the designing the Backwit Kit, because we value them as our co-creators and co-designers in designing these innovations. So for me, it's very important to involve these communities because these communities have the solution to their problems.
Okay. Sige po, sige, sure, ma'am.
Kasi wala yung local government.
Yes.
Ba ninyo kung how much is the cost of the Backwit Kit?
The Backwit Kit is roughly around 20,000 per kit.
Affordable. Okay. Pero na-consider din ninyo ang specification in terms of the space. Kasi alam naman natin ang LGU ay kulang ng space, no? So, mayroon din mga ganong consideration in terms of space. Kumbaga, inaano ninyo, customize it according to the requirements of the LGUs?
Yes, we customized the size of Backwit Kit, which is 2.4 by 2.4. That's 2 plywood sizes already. Actually, it's quite smaller than the sphere standards required by international standards ng humanitarian response. Smaller siya because we think that we have smaller evacuation spaces in the Philippines. So we use school buildings, mga classrooms, so it's quite smaller. So we consider that in designing the Backwit Kits.
Last final question.
Sure.
Sa tingin po ninyo, ano ang role ng local government unit in your Backwit Kit?
I think we can partner with the local government unit.
Paano? Kanya?
They can we can market the kit to the local government unit, and they can adopt the project in their different localities. So they can provide Backwit Kits in different barangays and evacuation centers. So they can provide them by using the Backwit
How
Kit
can they
project.
contact you?
They can contact us through our Facebook. We have Design Innovator, and through our Instagram account, Design Innovator.
Okay, so
Okay. So, siguro for you, ano siguro yung pwedeng magawa ng iba pa nating mga innovators na interested silang gumawa ng mga ganitong proyekto kahit not necessarily under Tuklas Innovation Labs?
Dito sa project na to, meron akong gustong i-highlight na dalawang learnings. Una, anybody can be an innovator. Dito sa project namin, na katrabaho namin, mga iba't ibang tao galing sa iba't ibang sektor, na may iba't ibang educational background, iba't ibang level ng education, iba't ibang profession. At nakita namin na lahat sila ay merong mga magandang contributions at relevant din yung mga insights nila. No? So, hinihikayat namin lahat ng Pilipino na maging innovator at mag-innovate. Lalo na yung mga nasa vulnerabling pamayanan kung sila mismo yung nakakaranas ng mga problema sa sakuna. Yung isa rin na gusto kong highlight sa learning namin, yung espasyo sa disaster preparedness in terms of innovation ay napakalawak. No, kasi yung natanggap namin na ideas, 266 ideas,
Ang dami.
2 months lang na call for proposals yun. No? Ibig sabihin, ganun karaming Pilipino ang innovators.
Yeah.
Much more siguro pag dinabaan namin yung call for proposals. Much more siguro kung local government units, other NGOs, private sector would be supporting innovations. No? Kasi sila or tayo yung merong resources at may mga networks para suportahan yung mga communities na to at mailig sila dun sa experts na pwedeng makatulong sa kanila. So yun siguro yung gusto ko lang din siguro dagdagan yung nabanggit kanina ni Ma'am na complexity sa ground. Isa sa nakikita kong challenge bilang isang humanitarian, yung communities kasi natin, hindi siya homogeneous. Complex siya, iba-iba yung social norms, iba-iba yung power dynamics, cultures, etc., etc., iba-iba yan. No? Kaya very important na local government units, barangay level, at yung kanilang mga community groups ang nagtutulungan para pangunahan yung preparedness efforts sa ground. No? Marami tayong mga evidences na makikita na yung mga plans na dumaan sa extensive na consultation sa communities, sila yung mas effective kaysa dun sa mga nag-top-down approach pagdating sa pag-craft ng LDRRM plans. So, maganda dapat nagtutulungan local government units and our community members, community groups.
And yun nga, yan yung sinabi mo kanina, di ba? Yun din yung sinabi ni Eliza kanina, na talagang nagpunta talaga sa komunidad, bumaba sa chieftain hanggang sa nakaabot sa inyo. Kaya talagang meron ding certain level of empowerment sa kanila. So siguro, bago tayo mag-wrap up, meron pa tayong additional insights sa kasama natin dito sa audience. Baka pwedeng marinig natin ngayon. I think this is Miss Anna.
I come from the non-government organization. It's the Ilocos Center for Research, Empowerment, and Development. And we've been working in disaster response for almost 9 years na. So yung nakita po namin is meron tayong communication gap in times of emergencies, kung paano napaparating mismo ng communities yung effect ng disaster sa kanila. So for example, yung area po namin ngayon for Tuklas, very rural upland. So nadadaanan sila ng ilog. So nitong habagat lang, nag-overflow yung ilog na hindi makadaan or makapasok yung mga sasakyan sa kanila. So very isolated na sila. So yung sa project namin, gusto natin ma-bridge yung gap na yon through a disaster reporting app, na para mas mabilis yung reporting ng damages sa kanila. Pero hindi siya magagawa natin na app lang. Meron kaming kinakonduct na community-based disaster management na nagtitrain sa kanila na bumuo ng mga sarili nilang disaster preparedness organizations. This is in the belief na yung resilience it's about empowering the most vulnerable sectors. So yun po yung ginagawa natin.
Okay, thank you so much. Meron pa ba? Meron pa ba? Wala na. Okay, sige. Later. Sige po.
Gusto ko po idagdag, okay, na 3 years ago, I think 2 or 3 years ago, nagkaroon po kami ng workshop with the DILG. We conducted a design thinking workshop. And then, what we realized through the workshop was that, or before the workshop, the pre-research workshop, was that some of the metrics, well, there were several things na as much as the different agencies are working very, very hard to address certain challenges in terms of disaster resiliency, there's still some still work in silos. Ang daming innovations na nangyari. among different agencies. But the connection between these government agencies and non-government agencies, private companies, individual innovators. So there is that need to connect these projects together, and I think that the best possible connector would be the government, because we can't scale innovation, we can't scale solutions without the help of the government.
Okay.
Okay? Ganun pong parang it's that strong, it's that all-encompassing. It's that beautiful dance between the government as an all-encompassing power, at the same time the government as something, as a body that enables people to develop something from the ground up, rather than from top down.
Yes. Okay.
So,
Thank you so much. So now, yun nga, nakita talaga natin na important yung work with the local government, with the private sectors, and of course with the community talaga. So, and it's very important na meron din tayo mga ganitong innovation, kasi katulad nga po nung sinabi ninyo kanina na hindi pare-parehas, walang isang boxed solution para sa buong Pilipinas, because we have different cultures, we have different ways, we have different traditions in some areas. So siguro, tatanungin ko lang sa inyo, ano ba talaga yung pwede nating magawa bilang as individuals, institutions, ganyan. Parang more of yung call to action po natin. Let's start po muna with you, ma'am.
Okay. So dito pa lang sa ating pag-uusap ngayon, meron na tayong ilang innovations, no? Na nangyayari. At hindi ko lang alam kung marami ang nakakaalam nga about sa mga innovations na ginagawa ninyo. For our institution, I think what we can do actually is to advocate with our partners that we be able to develop, really prepare a big study, a full picture of all the innovations that are going on in the country. At alam naman namin na when we say innovations, the fact that you're here, you want your innovations or your programs to be known and to be followed, diba? I-replicate ng iba. So I think a big picture of what is going on around the country, all the innovations has to really be prepared. And then that the preparation can also include what are the effects, the impact, no matter how small or how big. It has to be documented so that it can be accessed by everybody. And not only the Philippines, even our neighboring countries can actually benefit from it. Kasi disaster naman, it cross boundaries. So that's a big help. The innovations are actually a big help to the government.
Okay, thank you, ma'am. Ikaw, Eliza, siguro ano yung pwede mong sabihin para sa mga iba pang tao na gusto rin nila sigurong gumawa ng 3D map, or ikaw bilang isang kabataan, ano yung masasabi mo sa kanila na pwede nilang gawin para mas maging handa sa sakuna?
Maging ano po tayo yung magkaroon po tayo ng pakialam sa paligid natin, lalo-lalo na sa komunidad natin. Tapos matuto tayong manaliksik po. Alamin natin kung ano ba yung mas kailangan ng mga tao, katulad na nasa community po. Yun, magkaroon po tayo ng suporta sa bawat isa.
So, importante rin talagang alamin kung ano yung kinakailangan
Opo.
sa isang komunidad.
Opo.
What about you?
We all are affected by the harsh effects of climate change. No one is exempted. So my learning from this experience, the whole experience, my two-class experience is we all have different roles to play. So maybe the challenge here is to ask ourselves, what is our role in disaster response?
Thank you. And then?
Siguro sa akin, parang summary ng lahat ng napag-usapan. No? So, tatlong bagay. Una, yung effort sa disaster preparedness, dapat ito ay galing sa bottom. So, bottom to top yung approach natin. So, community empowerment facilitates community resilience. Pangalawa, yung importance ng pag-recognize natin, tulad na nabanggit ni Ma'am, na hindi isang institusyon ang sosolve ng problema sa disaster preparedness. So, importante na si government, si non-government, private sector, academe, magtulungan at patuloy na magtulungan para masustain yung efforts nila in disaster preparedness. Third, yung pag-promote natin ng innovation sa communities na dahil ang mga problema sa komunidad ay nag-iiba-iba dahil din sa risks na tatanggap natin at sa mga hazards na meron na present dun sa community, kinakailangan na yung pinopromote natin yung innovation at nag-i-innovate sila continuously as they encounter new problems along the way.
Okay, so marami talaga tayong natutunan ngayong araw, ano? Okay. On that note, thank you for joining us. I'm Aika Ray, and this is Rappler's Roundtable on Disaster Resiliency.